Who's that on the bottom?
She had said she would be here in person, but things happened. So we'll have a forum because several people, so Michael Soderstrom is here.
Yeah.
Chuck Egan. Correct. Okay, I'm gonna, where am I to stand to yell?
Do you want to sit here? I can move.
Did someone call Show King?
Hello.
No, we're just.
We're starting to take attendance, but we don't have quorum yet. This is Laura Myers speaking, Vice President of UNNC. I want to remind the UNNC board members who are online that they need to have their cameras on, not photos, not names, not images, but be on camera. Thank you. Hi, Michael.
Hi, how are you?
In that car again, being
Has the
safe.
meeting started?
No.
I'm on my way home. Should be there shortly.
Okay, that's fine. So we have 1, 2, 3. Okay, so anyway, we don't yet know you're gonna have me.
Yeah.
Fine.
I know.
Okay. And whose plate is this? Okay, are we switching seats? Is that what's happening here? It's a pizza. I don't need this. You need my pizza. I'm hoping. Okay. Oh, this is on wheels. I have to be careful. I didn't push it towards Chris.
Yeah, they're delicate. Okay.
I don't know. Yeah. I'm already making a mess of this. I don't want to keep. We have a lot of happy New Year.
I'm so glad our guy signed up.
Chris.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Hello. Hey, Chris.
I wasn't that strong. I was sick honestly over that day. I did virtuals. Yeah. Not over that. Not that hard, but I did like, you know. I did. I couldn't even go there.
So that.
I guess you did. I did.
Cora. So so anyone who wishes to get some pizza, it's okay, but we're gonna call the meeting to order. Since we do have quorum and we have a tiny little bit. Who let? Did I just do that by accident? I let Josh in. Hi, Josh, but I didn't click on it. I didn't click on the admit, it just sort of like. Yeah, no, but maybe we breathed on that. But in any case, so again, we do have quorum. My name is Laura Myers. I'd like to welcome everyone to our UNNC hybrid governing board meeting. I'd like to know from those online if you can hear me. just kind of raise your hand. And I'd like to again remind our board members that you actually have to be live on camera. So Diana, you need to go on camera, please. If you're there, but if you're not there, we luckily still have quorum until you show up. For board members and other people present in the room, I would like to remind you that this meeting, in theory, is being recorded on an AI basis. And every time one of us speaks, it's going to be recorded as UNNC is speaking. So what you need to do is say, this is Tom, or this is Mary, because the transcript will catch who's speaking, but the AI will say it's UNNC each time. So that said, Michael, are you in a place where you can actually do the roll call? Doesn't seem like you are.
I am not. I'll be able to take BACs in about 5 minutes though.
Okay, so what we're gonna do for this moment in time is dispense for the moment with the official roll call, so Michael can take the roll call once he lands. So that you have that document for you, but I can see that we do have quorum. And I also like to then move on. Paula's not here yet. I know she's planning to attend, but I don't know if she's planning to attend via Zoom or in person. So we will learn that as we go along. So in the meantime, I'm going to share the agenda, and we can go through that. And I'm sorry, we had a nice long break, during which time I don't know about everybody else, I not only didn't do very much with UNNC, I've seemed to have forgotten how to operate a field of our technology. So we learned last night on a different meeting, so it's gonna be slow. Can people see the shared screen online? If somebody can acknowledge that you can see the screen.
Copy that. This is Show King.
Thank you so much. Okay, so our agenda tonight is actually kind of packed, but what we have is public comments and announcements, items not on the agenda as usual. Government agent and agency reports and the Dunn report. Just an update on the homeless count. We will have a brief presentation from the folks at Ciclavia. Planning and zoning has 2 items. One is a land use case, and the other is a proposed community impact statement. And again, for those of us who are present in the room, we've printed out the draft CIS. And we will have under executive committee a number of items. Most of these are usual. We are going to table executive committee 8D, secretary's report, and we will approve the minutes for November and December and for tonight at the next board meeting. And then we have committee reports, including an unfortunate one about our chair of elections and a thing on the LAX roundtable. I know there's a motion coming regarding this agenda, or are we waiting till we get to the end?
Yes, I would like to ask for an amendment to the agenda to table item number 8.
Okay, so and Paula has arrived, so we might juggle our seats.
Oh,
Are we gonna table it completely, or are we gonna just take 2 minutes to just? It's
no,
okay.
no, let's take, I'm asking that we table item 8B3, review and approve UNNC inventory report until February.
Okay, no discussion. That's fine.
Yeah.
No discussion whatsoever.
Is there a second?
A second.
Okay, and do we need to do a vote to move? Okay.
We do not, but Shokeen has raised her hand. Joe, do you have a comment on that?
I actually had a public comment type of item. It was
Yeah, then let's wait till we deal with this agenda, if you don't mind that.
I'm sorry.
Unless your comments related to the agenda itself, can we finish doing the agenda?
I thought there was in the beginning, we can talk about things that are not on the agenda.
Correct, but we're still on item,
We haven't started general public comment yet. so-
yeah, we're on the, we're on number 2, reviewing the actual agenda and approving it, sorry. And then we'll get to you on number 3.
No worries.
Okay, so basically, we've agreed to table both the minutes item and the inventory report. And I don't think we need to have a vote.
No, let's.
Let's move on. Okay, so the next item is in fact public comments. Now, what did I do? Make it big. And so, Paula, did you want me to slide over so you can take over running the meeting, or you want to run the meeting from there? What would you like to do? You want to run it from there. So I'm handing the gavel, the virtual gavel, to Paula, who's going to speak very loudly and introduce herself. And we are now on item 3, public comments.
All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome. I'm Paula Southern and the president of the UNC Governing Board. And we are on agenda item number 3, public comments, announcements, and items not on the agenda. Do we have any comments?
Okay.
Okay, go ahead, Joe. Hi, Joe.
Hello and Happy New Year to you all. Okay, so really quickly, I got some calls today and yesterday and some information regarding, I guess the city of LA has given relief funds regarding the LA fires around the area. So with the understanding that it's $1,000 per NC. And so some of the NCs that I've spoken with would love to see if we would like to pull the funds together to have a bigger impact. It's all kind of just formulating and nothing's concrete, but they wanted to see if we would be in favor of something and seeing what they have to say regarding that, if we're in favor of doing that for the larger impact of the public in the city regarding the LA fires in the area.
Okay, Laura has a comment.
Well, my comment is, I think Alfonso will end up discussing emergency funds
Okay,
on the Dunn report.
Okay.
And since he's on the agenda, we would actually then be able to have a discussion about this. We cannot have discussion during public comments. And this was Laura's statement.
Okay, thank you.
okay, we'll come back to that. So now we're on government agency, CD10 report, Ms. Danielle.
Can you come closer to the owl?
All right, my name is Yona Hong and I'm with the Los Angeles Korean Festival Foundation. I was here a few months back. You guys were so kind and gracious to support our event. And so I actually brought a calendar that we created for this year for every one of you, and your logo's in the back.
Oh,
And so I wanted to say this event was super successful. We had over 350,000 people that attended during the 4-day event. And according to the Los Angeles Fire Department, which is the number that they gave us, but we wanted to really thank you. And I knew that we provided a booth, and I think you guys were gonna come, but I think something didn't happen, but hopefully you can participate this year.
I stopped by, but we did not spend a lot of time at the booth. We kind of walked around and like handed things out, but.
Yeah, but we just want to thank you so much, and you can just go through all the pictures and it just shows you all the activities and different things that we had. And like, I think he's a famous chef. I think you guys know him, but he was here checking out all the food. And then also, as I mentioned,
I
like
can't
Home United. Oh,
Does it go then?
he's like a famous chef. Do you guys know?
I can't see.
It's a guy from Baltimore.
I think it's you guys are all right.
Oh, yeah, I was checking out all the food, but also, with the local community, we had Home United Methodist Church, the Jubilee, choir that came to perform, and they're all in this calendar. So I brought it for all of you to enjoy. And I'll be back in a few months. Hopefully you guys could be a partner again this year, and this year it will be in October. So thank you again, Laura and Paula and everyone, and I hope to see you guys in a few months, and hopefully you can come back. Oh, yeah.
Those are certainly the type of, I'm happy with the events that we have.
Yeah, yeah.
You should have people.
Exactly.
Yeah, goodbye. About the event and-
Yeah,
All right, so
I
thank
have,
you very much.
I have the CD10 report.
Okay, so now we're on CD10 report and that's Laura.
Okay, so, I have Laura is speaking, I'm reading out loud from Danielle Merrow, who is one of our 2 deputies, and with her report. But she's actually now at the moment our only deputy. It's correct, she writes, that Eric, Aguiar no longer works for the office.
Oh,
So, our CD10 office is working on hiring more staff to cover vacant positions. Our remaining field deputies are working as best we can to ensure that everyone that contacts our office is assisted. So that, I currently have few updates for the NC meeting, other than to promote the annual Martin Luther King parade on January 18th. I don't know what that means to promote it, but we're hereby promoting the Martin Luther King. And more importantly, the mayor's day of service on January 25th. There will be a day of service that is co-sponsored by the mayor, CD10, CD 5, and maybe another one. And it will be at 987 South Gramercy Place at a church. Anyway, we have the flyer and I will send it out on MailChimp and then to the board. But I'm waiting because I feel like there's more important things to send out at this time related to the emergency and the election, our election. If anyone needs assistance, they can contact our office at area code 323-276-4917. And this is from Danielle Merrow. And to reach her, her email is first name Danielle, D-A-N like Nancy, I-E-L-L, lion, E, so Danielle dot Merrow, M like Mary, E like elephant, R like Robert, O like oil, at lacity.org. And that is the CD10 report. No, I cannot answer any questions. Sorry, because I'm not with CD10.
because she's reading the report.
Because I'm reading. Okay.
All right, then we have our delegate, Alfonso.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Can you guys hear me? Just making sure.
Yes.
Okay. So I emailed most of my NEA announcements. I know that you guys have this meeting tonight, so I decided to join virtually. I just emailed them right now, Laura. I can see your facial expression. But I know there was a few questions about the declaration and how to use the funds. So basically, the main difference between this type of funding and the previous ones is that you don't need board approval to spend the money before and then approve it after. This allows you to actually just approve it after with the BAC, but the president needs to either ask the treasurer to approve the purchase or conduct the purchase. It could be the president, the vice president, or the treasurer.
So are you guys able to?
I can't
understand?
I can understand it a little bit.
Well, it's not clear. I can.
For some reason,
Not
Alfonso,
really
you're
clear.
not coming through very clearly. Maybe you could speak a little slower, slow.
Sorry, I've been having audio issues for like
Oh,
since since my internet goes in and out. Sure, all of you have had issues too.
Right.
Um, so let me slow down. So there was a question earlier, right, about the funding request?
Right.
Yeah. So the main difference between this type of funding and the all other types of funding is that as the treasurer knows, right, you have to approve purchases before and then approve it again after. So whenever there's a declaration like this, entities are allowed to spend up to $1,000, and it really there is limited items that you can purchase, but it's waters, it can be nutritional supplements, food, blankets, anything that you might need during an emergency, right? I do know that some NCs have purchased items and gone and dropped it off to fire stations before. Um, that's also an option, but this is something that the treasurer needs to discuss with the president or with the holders together, right? To see like, so the president will ask the treasurer or the card holder to purchase the items, and then it will be approved after the purchase is made. So this can be discussed between y'all. Um, but if anyone has ideas, you have to reach out to the president, and then the president will decide on how to purchase items. But again, this doesn't mean that you can't do other MPGs or purchase other items in the future with getting approval from the board before. This is just a temporary way to like approve emergency funds. Go ahead, Laura.
Hi, so Alfonso, I have a related question. Because this is a declared emergency and we had already published our agenda, are we able to adjust this agenda in the middle of the meeting when we get to the treasurer's report and add a funding item if we chose to?
No.
Relate it to this.
No, so that would be
Excuse
That would
me,
be a
Deputy. He said all we have to do is tell the president.
No.
She can just say, yeah, we're gonna buy towels or we're gonna buy food.
Teresa, but now you're arguing with me because that really wasn't the nature of my question.
no,
Sorry.
yeah,
I wasn't asking, can we purchase things?
You wanna know, if I understand you correctly, can we make an adjustment to our agenda to add a funding?
To discuss adding funding, no, we cannot discuss,
Okay.
we can't.
He said, no, we can't. He said, no, we can't.
No.
He said, no. Yeah.
He said, no, we cannot,
Yeah.
but the nature of my question wasn't to give directions to Paula about what to purchase. It
I'm just saying
related,
it's your authority, Laura.
gosh.
okay, we're gonna move on.
Yeah, I just don't like being corrected because you jumped in without knowing what the actual nature of my question was, which was potentially a donation to a 501c3. So we can't do that either under the emergency orders, but I was wondering, under the emergency, can we adjust our agenda? Answer is no.
No.
Okay,
All right.
yeah.
but I
So
wasn't telling Paula what to buy.
anytime that you when it's about money or funding, the Brown Act, it's kind of clear on it has to be listed on the agenda before and
Right.
after. So this is a little bit different because you're going to purchase an item and then approve it after it's purchased because of the declaration. So it would just be added onto your next board meeting, which is in February, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
We have other hands raised.
Okay, go ahead. I see Joshua.
Yeah, may I ask a quick question to Alfonso?
Go ahead.
Okay, awesome. So with regard to that, would it be a good practice, like for something of an emergency for before the meeting to add it? Like, let's say like the fires just started. So if someone would have said something yesterday, would it have like been like an ad so we can just, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm trying to figure out what would have made the cut for that.
So again, this is a Brown Act question again. So when it comes, it's a little bit different, right? So the declaration allows you to spend $1,000 and I sent out an email with the list of the items that you can purchase. I'm not sure if you view that. But whenever you decide to do something with another entity, it doesn't stop you from preventing that, but it does have to be added to the agenda in the future. And there's a big difference, you know, like you can purchase items, that's fine, but if you're gonna do something together with another NC and buy more items, then you would have to do that with an agenda item.
All right, thank you.
Okay, copy that.
Josh has his hand up and I think Hunter is kind of going up and down.
Yeah, no, can I follow up on that quickly? So if we wanted to give anything more than $1,000, we would have to wait until February to do so.
No, we can have a special meeting.
We have a special meeting, okay.
Yeah.
Who was next?
Josh.
Yeah, then Chris.
Just very quickly wanted to know if the city's doing any type of data collection to make sure that we know what essential items are in higher demand so that if we do decide to purchase, we're actually spending the funds appropriately.
Oh, he can't.
He sent a list.
Yeah, Joshua, we cannot, this is not subject to a board poll. It's the way the emergency orders always work is that the president works with the cardholder and treasurer basically privately because it violates the Brown Act to have a group conversation about it.
Of more than 6 people.
No, it violates the Brown Act.
Of more than 6 people.
So right now you can discuss.
7. Thank you. 7 people. That was Grace also.
That's fine. But to answer Josh's question, the city isn't really collecting data right now. I don't have access to that. That would be more like your city council member question, right? Your field deputy. Unfortunately, you don't have one right now. I know that Eric, they just announced that he left the council member's office. But you can always reach out to the mayor's office too. That would be another good point of contact. Okay,
Is there a timeline to that? Because it would seem prudent to maybe wait and make sure that we hear, because the emergency is still ongoing, that we understand where the need is great and we can then use those funds in the most appropriate way. It's kind of knee-jerky to just, throw darts at a target that you don't really know the target. So that's all I wanted to say. Is there a timeline?
Okay, so.
Okay, Candace, we'll have an answer to that.
Yeah.
okay, so for your question,
Is there a timeline for spending?
there's not really a timeline because it depends, right? If the declaration is ongoing.
Oh, you're cutting out now.
Am I cutting off again?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
better now. Stay
Okay.
close.
Let me get really close. So there's not really a timeline for this because as we saw with the pandemic, right? The declaration was for like several years. It was like a year or two. So the NC could spend $1,000 for the year for the declaration. It really depends on the date where the state of emergency is lifted.
Thank you.
Dolores.
No, we got a question down here.
Okay.
Okay, I just let me see the kind of get correctly. Understanding the process of the president working with the clock holder, et cetera, so that we don't violate anything. Are we able to, as the board, suggest items? The reason I'm asking is because I've donated some stuff already to the capacity evacuation center. And they've told us what they need most direly. So again, we're not going to, who knows what the amount will be, but if it's something that we can use that information for, it might make us that quicker. But wanted to understand if that's something we can suggest without violating that process.
Yeah, definitely. You can definitely suggest any items to the president right now. This is a public meeting and this is the right place to do that.
Okay, thank you.
And
Dolores.
Oh, Dolores. Hi.
Hi, everyone. Dolores Spears here. Regarding the question for Eric, I spoke with Danielle today regarding the emergency alert that went out, and she says that she is handling Eric's area for the time being until the council hires someone else, and they're looking at someone currently.
Thank you. All right. Laura?
Well, and I was just gonna say for everybody, if it sounds like we wanna have a knowledgeable discussion about what's really needed, then again, I would say we can readily have a special meeting in a week or so on Zoom. You know, I mean, we don't have to wait till February
And we don't have
sixth,
to be in-
and it can be a one topic meeting that, you know, on this, and we can set that meeting under old business if we want, because setting dates for meetings would be a normal thing that we do. So,
Thank you. All right, does that sound like something we want to do?
well,
So,
we might want to do it at an agenda item number 10.
okay, all right, are there any other government officials? Are there any other questions? All right, we're gonna move on to the.
Wait, didn't Laura, didn't Danielle give you something?
Yeah, I read it out loud already.
Oh, all right, sorry.
Yeah, I think Michael, are you now in a spot where you can do a roll call for your records? Michael Soderstrom is frozen. Maybe not. There you go.
No, that was a fun.
Okay. Michael is really frozen. So why don't we?
Can I just really quick? I forgot to mention. So I know that you guys jumped into questions right away, but just like you guys are a great NC, right? You guys did a lot of great work last year. It's always a pleasure to work with you guys. Just want to say Happy New Year. Hopefully you guys continue the great work. And I'll be working with you guys for the rest of the year and the elections, right? I know the candidate closing is coming up. It's added to your agenda, so I'm looking forward to hearing from that. All right. So that's it from me.
Thank you.
Bye, thank you.
Eric, it's been great working with you too. Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
2025 homeless count, Laura?
Yeah, that'll have to be me, and then maybe we can get to our roll call at some point. So basically, Tori's coordinating the homeless count at the what's
She
called.
still is.
Yes, she is.
Okay.
Is it on our behalf, Holman's behalf, Lass's behalf, or just what she does? I can't answer that question, but UNNC is supporting the site at the Holman Church, 3320 West Adams Boulevard, and it's called the West Adams or Adams site. That is on Thursday, January 23rd. Tori last night said the arrival time should be 6:30. We're buying Subway sandwiches. To sign up, it's a little more difficult than in past years because we can't provide a direct registration link for that site. We used to be able to do that, but we can't. So you have to go to the general site, which is on your agenda. But it's basically either you can go to theycountwillyou.org and it will be automatically changed to the count.lassa.org. And then you go to register, and to be at our site, which we want you to be at our site, you put in either the zip code 90018 or the words West Adams. And even then it brings up a map and you kind of have to slide carefully to get to the pin on the map to make sure you pull up Coleman's site. And it says it's sort of limited to like 80 people, but they're really looking for 180 people. And they have 55 routes, so they need 180 people because they put you in teams. So it's a really good event. I mean, it's really rewarding, and I hope everybody signs up and helps.
Yes, I participated a couple of years ago, and yes, it is really good. And it's really good to get out there also, you know, rather than just we're all sitting in a room talking to one another, get out and meet our constituents. Any other comments, questions? Okay, moving right along, Ciclavia in University Park.
We have Carmen from Ciclavia. Carmen, are you?
I have Rachel or Adrian. What happened? Okay.
Well, they sent Carmen.
Okay.
Yes. Are you able to see?
Carmen, do you need to be a co-host? Will you have your own?
We're good.
How'd this happen?
Are you able to see the route map?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but now I'm trying to figure out how it is you're sharing without us giving you the capability to share, but there you go, it's okay.
I can stop if you need me to stop, but I
No,
figured it'd be good to have a
No,
visual.
continue on, please.
Okay, well, thank you for having me. I'm Carmen and I'm here with Ciclavia to let you know about our event that's happening in your area on Sunday, February 23rd. On this day, we'll be shutting down 4.1 miles of streets through West Adams, Jefferson Park, and University Park to cars. And we're opening it up to the community to walk, bike, skate, run, and play. This is done in conjunction with the City of Los Angeles. It's free, it's family friendly, and open to all. We will be shutting down the streets from approximately 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. And as you can see on the map, it's Jefferson Boulevard from La Brea to Vermont, and then Vermont from Jefferson to Expo. There will be no street parking starting at 1 a.m. on that day. We will, however, have these 4 intersections marked in yellow where cars will be able to cross the route. And then our hubs are noted here in red. We'll have 3, and those will have programming. You can have a booth if you'd like. Reach out to us if you would like one. Activities, food trucks, bathrooms, water for everyone. We do 2 rounds of outreach to every residence and business along the route. This week was supposed to be our first round, but obviously we've had to postpone. We're hoping we could restart at some point next week. But we do also reach out to all churches within 1 to 2 miles of the route. On the week of the event, 3 days, we do tollway flyering to all cars parked on the street, all driveways along the street. We also have a third-party street team that goes flyering 1 to 2 blocks away from the route. And we work with impacted stakeholders for access to their businesses and homes. We also have multiple Spanish speakers on our outreach team, and all our collateral is bilingual. Our event flyer is also English and Spanish, and we will be hosting a virtual community meeting on Tuesday, January 21st at 5:30 for anyone that has questions, concerns, or any businesses that have questions as well. We do encourage businesses to participate in the day by activating their sidewalks. Many businesses do see an increase in sales on that day. So if you have any businesses curious about that, hopefully our street team will reach them, but if not, I can pass along information. It's also a really great day for volunteering. So if you have any high schoolers needing service hours or just people that want to help make it a great day, let me know. You do have to be 14 and up to volunteer. Anyone younger, the parent would need to stay with them the whole time. And while I'm here to inform you of the event, I hope you come and participate and enjoy it yourself. It is a really joyful day full of community. So hopefully we'll see you on Sunday, February 23rd. Thank you. Let me know if there's any questions or concerns.
Okay, we have a question.
Carmen, do we have a table? Is UNNC? We
Yeah.
have it already?
I'm not sure. I'll check with Rachel, who does the hub booth.
Yes, we
Talked to her.
I think we.
Okay.
Paula, Laura?
Have you submitted your you submitted the application?
No, we've talked to Rachel and Adrienne.
Erin,
They
yeah.
were
Are we supposed to submit an application?
I mean, usually yes, but I'll just double check with them and we'll send the link if need be.
Good, okay.
Carmen, I had a question as well. Do you have a email or something that we can send anyone who wants to volunteer to?
Yes, I am actually the volunteer coordinator, so they can just send it to volunteer@ciclavia.org.
Easy.
Okay.
We also have really great group opportunities if there's any key clubs and things like that, or any nonprofits or community organizations in your neighborhoods are also welcome to volunteer, and they're allowed to set up a table where they volunteer to let the community know about their services.
That would be great. Laura?
So at the last Ciclavia that was in our general area, Chris ran the table. I'm not volunteering you to do it again, but
I do volunteer to do it again.
Oh, wonderful.
because she did a great job and had beautiful flower arrangements, which drew attention.
Isn't that
to
why
us.
you decided to take a vacation?
Hmm?
Isn't that the week you decided to take?
No, I
a
was
vacation? You went to the hospital?
No. Oh, that was a pre one. That's you're right. The one before that was in fact You're right, Michael.
Keep on going.
Keep on going, but this, I'm talking about the one that was on Martin Luther King much more recently. And, Sho King has her hand up too.
Joe?
Hi, thank you. I just had a quick question about the January 21st date that you mentioned, Miss Carmen.
Yes, the virtual community meeting.
Is that link also on the website?
Yeah, and I can also share it out to the emails. It'll be over Zoom.
Okay. Thank you.
Carmen, do you have the link for that? Can you put the link in the chat by chance?
Let me see if our team has set those up yet.
That way she'll can access it.
Let me find it for you here.
Okay, thank you.
But that's a great event. It's very close and we're very happy to participate in that. Yep.
And we had good participation.
We had good traffic. really
Right.
good traffic.
Right,
Yeah.
and, Carmen, I do actually have one other question. On the map, it sort of shows that the hub is a little bit to the east of Seventh Avenue. So does that mean it's close to Fourth Avenue and Park? Or do you know where it is exactly?
The exact which hub?
The middle hub, our hub. In
Okay, I
Jefferson.
can. Yeah, I can give you the exact address. Well,
No, east of Seventh. That's what it looked like.
She's gonna give us the address.
Okay.
of the Jefferson Park hub, right?
Right.
Okay. Yes, I'll put it in the chat. There you go.
All right, thank you very much.
Because I'm thinking that it looks like it's near the South LA Cafe and the park.
Yeah.
It looks like it on the map. Yeah.
Great, thank you very much, Carmen.
You're
We'll move
welcome.
into-
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Planning and zoning?
Okay, here we go. Oh no, let's do this. We really need to, now Michael's alive and not frozen.
Okay.
Can we do that roll call, please?
Excellent. All right, everyone can hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, Joshua,
Here.
Dolores,
Here.
Hunter,
Here.
Candace,
Here.
Laura,
Here.
David,
Here.
Joe,
Presente.
Edward,
Here.
Sarah.
Oh, Sarah has resigned,
Okay.
sadly.
Paula,
Here.
Erber.
Oh, he has also resigned.
What was the name? I didn't even.
Ever.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just started.
Grace,
Present.
I am present. Corrine,
Here, present.
Teresa,
Here.
Michael,
Here.
Chris,
Present.
Diana,
You're on mute.
Well, we can see.
Present
her anyway.
online.
awesome. Betty, and Marco.
Here.
Excellent.
Betty.
Okay, thank you.
She's still, yeah. And Christine, you need to participate, you'll need to have your camera on. Also, Michael Vander is here. I know he doesn't count for role, but he is here. If you note that.
Well, if you're gonna know Ken.
And Elizabeth is here.
Yeah.
That's right. Elizabeth Benner is also present. But Corrine, are you able to turn your camera on? Vander, you're fine without your camera. There
Can you
she
see
is.
me?
Yes.
Oh, okay,
At the
great.
the Golden Gate Bridge, or what bridge is that?
Go get it.
Yeah.
Golden Gate, yeah.
Oh, glad you're coughing at home.
Are we moving on?
We are. So, we have a guest presenter and we're gonna drive for you.
Yeah, I would, however you want, so.
Well, what's the pleasure?
Yeah, let's go to the next one.
What's your pleasure to sit here?
Well,
You know what? I think it's better if you stood right there and we'll just click the,
okay.
we'll click later.
Well, I mean, this is I have this, like, if you plug in, I don't know if you have a spare USB.
Right there.
If that,
I think I've already.
Yeah, go ahead, it's on the computer.
oh, no, I just mean, this is like a.
Oh, you want them.
Yeah, like-
Can you control something? Well,
It should like automatically have the.
okay, but I don't know.
That's our text person, Marco, who's.
Okay, you know what? I'm gonna have to check people. Handle this, but you need to introduce yourself and remember that.
Yeah, so is there a camera somewhere? Or-
You can use his flash drive that he just put in.
No, that's just.
Oh,
You can play-
It's just-
Yeah, so he can do. Which one is this?
It's that, yeah, 2800.
Yeah.
No, that's the present.
There it is.
There. Get rid of.
Me.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me just share. Hey, you want to join?
So introduce yourself.
Okay.
And don't, yeah.
It was working.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, good evening, everyone. I'm Gary Benjamin of Alchemy Planning and Land Use, and I'm representing the applicants who are named Steve and Hannah Lynn. They are the owners of the Lynn's Auto Service property at 2800 West Jefferson
I'm
Boulevard.
gonna interrupt. Chris, can you slide down and let him move a little bit? Cause you're soft, just cause you're.
The camera.
But
Well-
it's Catherine.
No, I know, but it's soft.
Oh.
I don't know if they can hear it well.
Okay, is that better?
Yeah.
Okay. So this property, it's been in the Lim family, the owner since 2002, but they've decided that it's time to move on and replace the aging auto repair structures on the site, which were constructed in 1928 and 1958 with a new mixed-use development. This development will provide retail on the ground floor and then residential units on the upper levels. Where the location is, it's I guess the laser doesn't show up on there, but it's located at the intersection of Jefferson and 8th Avenue. The property, it's in the C2 commercial zone. Here are some additional images of the site and the surrounding area. So that's the lot there. This is looking west on Jefferson. This is looking south on 8th Avenue. Looking east on Jefferson, the property on the right. And this is what we're proposing. So the owners are proposing a 6-story structure with 2,000 square feet of commercial space on the ground floor, as well as 70 dwelling units above. That would include 10 studio units, 20 one-bedroom units, 35 2-bedrooms, as well as 5 3-bedroom units. Of those units, 9 of them will be very low income affordable units, which would be 1 studio, 3 1-bedrooms, 4 2-bedrooms, and 1 3-bedroom. And those range from 812 for the studio to 1161 for the 3-bedroom. And I have the prices for all, but that's the range for the different sizes. The project also includes 45 parking spaces, as well as 68 bicycle parking spaces. In terms of the design of the building, it has what the wood that you're seeing is a wood tile material on the exterior. We would also have large glass windows and glass balcony railings that you can see there on the corner and on the front. The gray, light brown, and darker gray colors are stucco with different colors. And then there would be, I think it's kind of blocked for this view by the people's video at the bottom, but at the street level, that's where the retail space is. And then a little hard to see, but that's the retail entrance on the corner. And then there is some parking at the ground level, but the parking would be buffered by a 3-foot landscape buffer to kind of buffer the view of the parking at the ground level. The city is requiring us to widen the sidewalk by 1.5 feet on Jefferson, also to widen the alley by 4 feet, and to provide the corner cut that you can see to increase visibility at the intersection. We'll be replacing all the sidewalk, and then you can also see that we will be adding more tree wells. So there'd be 6 on Jefferson and 3 on 8th Avenue. And then also providing some bike parking on the sidewalk. All the vehicle parking would come off of the alley. You can see the entrance there off of the alley at the bottom of the page. So then there wouldn't be any driveways cutting across the sidewalk. In terms of other design features, we have a courtyard in the middle of the building for the residents. It's about a little over 1,200 square feet that would be landscaped. And then in terms of the way that the building relates to the lower density at to the south of the site, we've tried to set back the upper levels of the building. So starting at the 2nd floor, you can see it's set back 15 feet from the property line. So you'd have like a 20-foot alley and then another 15-foot setback to where the actual building is. And then you can see on the west interior property line, that's like after the 1st floor, because we have parking at the ground level. And then above that, it would go back 13.5 feet, essentially. The project, in terms of the zoning and like what we're requesting. So the base density for the site, this is just what's allowed by right before any bonus, is 56 units. And in this case, we're requesting a 25% increase to 70 dwelling units. I just put this on here just to, so folks can understand the concept and the context, which is that under state density bonus law policy now, you can actually request up to a 100% increase, which would be 112 units. But, as I said, we're only requesting 70 in this case, of which 9 of them would be those very low income units. Additionally, no parking is actually required for the project because they consider it to be a half mile of a major transit stop, which in this case is the intersection of Jefferson and Crenshaw. But in this case, we are providing parking, as much parking as we can fit at the ground level, which in this case is 45 spaces, as I was saying. And then other requests, we can spend more time on. Oh, are you other?
Yeah, because just reading here, it says including parking reduction to half space per unit. But if no parking is required, why would that be considered a reduction to half space?
So I think, what I had specified is that it's, I think that was.
She's right.
Yeah.
It's just the verbiage is wrong. I mean, it's not wrong,
The
it's
half the
just,
space requirement is normal.
yeah,
Okay.
it's not really a reduction, it's just that it used to be considered a reduction, but it's other laws have passed it.
Right, but
Make
if
it
you're
not
not
even
requiring parking, you're actually suggesting to provide half space up to.
I think that what it is, I think it's because in the density bonus policy, they have something that says you can do a half a space per unit. And so that's kind of like a density bonus incentive that we identified, but it's this separate policy called AB 2097. And that's what I was stating, that just basically has a blanket, no parking required. So I think I was listing out like, here's the incentives that we're using for, so it's kind of like a double dipping redundant kind of thing,
Okay.
but that's, yeah.
Got it.
But yeah, this is without, not sure what happened.
Uh-oh.
I'll just click on the screen once.
Okay, yeah, so we're right, I'll grant we're right on the edge of it, but this is, essentially this is the city's map of the areas where no parking is required for anything. It's like these purple areas. So there's kind of, just a sliver where it's not, but anyway, and then that's based on its proximity to the bus lines that intersect at, Crenshaw and Jefferson. So the other request, I mean, it's kind of a long list, but so essentially, we have a 20% reduction in the recreational open space. There's a requirement in CPIO that they have 75% along the ground floor of what they call public interior spaces, which means lobby, commercial, rec rooms, things like that. Because we have our lobby on the side, that 37%, that's kind of just the commercial space. And then we have some parking there. So that I can talk more about it, but that's the general idea with that. There's typically a loading zone requirement. If you have commercial and you're on an alley, we've requested relief from that. For the rear yard, we're technically requesting a 5-foot reduction, but the reason I pointed out that the upper levels are set back more substantially, like 15 feet. So it's kind of just for the lowest portion of the 5 foot. And then the other requests relate to floor area and height. So there's multiple different height limits that apply in the area, but essentially that's what the other requests are. We can talk about that more in detail, but I just wanted to provide a little context, just because at the first committee meeting, some questions came up about just the nature of density bonus in general. And generally speaking, it's like with the way the state density bonus law works is it says, here's the maximum density that you can get, and then you can either get like on menu incentives, which is like a list of incentives, or if you can't achieve that density that the state has said is like an appropriate level of density for the site, then you can basically come up with the list of things that you think are necessary in order to achieve that density. So that's why things like extra floor area, extra height, like it wouldn't be possible to build that level of density if we weren't allowed to build extra height for the building. So that's just kind of the context of like how the requests are. And like I said, I can talk more about that if you're interested. But ultimately, just to conclude for now, and we can get into Q&A, the city did require that we complete a full environmental review for the site that did find that the project wouldn't have any significant environmental impacts in the areas they required us to study. I do understand from prior conversations with the committees that there are folks that would prefer the project to be smaller, to have less units, provide more parking, but we have tried to balance those considerations with the city's and the state's objectives, which is trying to increase density along commercial corridors like this that are served by transit. The city, like in general, the context they're working in, they have a mandate from the state. Really, they're supposed to be permitting like 57,000 units per year. On average, for the last decade, it's been like 16,000. And, really it's like 2024 because of interest rates, et cetera, it's down like a lot more. So they're encouraging this type of development, which is, denser multifamily development on commercial corridors, as opposed to like within the residential neighborhoods. So we've tried to design an attractive building that would provide quality retail space at the ground floor, provide new units, including family size units and the affordable units. So I hope that you'll support the project, but like I said, thank you for your time and I'm available for your questions. Yep.
Looked up on LoopNet and it says this property is up for sale for $3.995 million.
To be honest, I haven't seen that. I mean, I guess I would say in a lot of cases, so as I mentioned, it's been owned by a family that's had it since like 2002. I think the person who is leading this effort now is the son. My understanding is it was the father that ran the auto body shop and is essentially, I think, is already retired out. And so
it looks like the additional property, maybe the former or the father may have owned the auto body shop since 2002, but the parcels right next to it were purchased in 2023. So it's not like it was contiguous. So it was purchased to create this and then it's up for sale. So I'm a little concerned.
So the parcels that are included, so there's 4 parcels altogether. And so one of them, there is one single family home on the furthest west parcel. And then the others is sort of the auto there. So, but yeah, what's your concern though?
Well, that it's up for sale.
Yeah, well, so I guess what I was gonna say is a lot of times I think people are, especially in this, like, I interact with developers a lot. And so there's always a lot of anxiety about, if interest rates go to this, I won't be able to afford to build this. If construction costs keep growing, I won't. So I would say they're always optimistic that they will be able to make this work, but they are also always concerned and, looking for. So I would say when I talk to them, their full intent is to develop this, but I would assume if somebody came along with a very good deal, they're probably not going to say no to it as well. So I'm just, that's the honest.
It's almost like you shared your story as if it was owned by this one family because it was the auto zone and they're, repurposing it to build, and yet now, and this is Grace speaking, instead of it being the owner of this building or this lot, converting into housing. It is really just someone coming in to develop, getting in all the approvals to sell. And then it's like, there will be possibly changes because the person buying this isn't gonna be the person who got the approvals, and then new things come along. So it's kind of like, what's going on?
Yeah, well, so I mean, well, I don't know if you want me to address that. or-
Well,
Laura first.
yeah, well, yeah, I think,
About planning and zoning.
right, I think we need to talk about planning and zoning, but we won't have a motion from planning and zoning. So basically, planning and zoning did meet with also the architect in 2 different meetings. And we actually had some different people at the 2 different meetings. So things that were brought up, there were, because I expressed it, some concerns about the parking, but it was the lack of parking for the commercial use. Because all of the parking they have is for residential, and I don't know.
Laura, you could just share that planning and zoning
right.
did not bring it to the board with a recommendation. So it's up to the board to now ask.
Yeah, I
whatever
guess I
questions.
could share that.
Yeah.
If I had
Yeah,
been
instead of
able
talking about
to
the parking.
finish.
Well, we're talking about the
I
parking.
think, isn't it appropriate that they share the concerns that were brought at those meetings?
Yes, it is. So.
If we didn't make a recommendation.
Okay,
Let her finish.
yes, true. Well, I will explain to the board because it may be the first time in a long time that we've come without a recommendation. So our normal procedure when we come without a recommendation, or if we come with a recommendation, is to tell you what happened at the meetings, and which explains why we make, or in this case, don't make a recommendation. So there were concerns about the height, about the parking for the commercial use, because you always want it to be successful. And there were some other concerns. I'm not sure the trees were perfect. But in the end, the committee voted kind of 50-50 and did not come to a recommendation for this board meeting to say yes or no. So, so we can have a discussion before the motion. And then a motion will need to be made, but it won't be made by the committee. And Michael has his hand.
Yeah, Michael Kimbrough, what stage are you in right now in terms of your development with your city? Where are you?
So it's just with this entitlement, because this will require city planning commission approval. And so, so essentially, when it does require something like that, it's possible that city planning commission could say, we need you to change this, we need you to change that. So for that reason, for this type of project, you typically wouldn't be proceeding ahead with all the more like engineering and the more detailed permitting, electrical and all of that.
Of course.
Just because you don't necessarily know if you might have to make design changes.
So you're under site plan review planning.
Yeah, we're under the entitlement review process. Yeah, we don't have a hearing scheduled. It's, I'm hoping any day, but planning has been, you know, we're in that stage. We're not expedited, so it's with planning and.
So as a team, we have the option at this point to not pass any recommendations on until the public hearing.
I am not sure of that, Michael, because today it doesn't have a hearing scheduled. But how many days? It's a 24-day notice period for hearings.
I believe.
So we have technically probably 24 days if you wanted to have the discussion tonight. I mean, we're not going to have a second long discussion as far as I know.
No, I don't think we, personally, I regret not being in on the.
Okay, we should not be scheduling another 30 to 40 minute next time. That would be also.
No, I understand, But I don't know if we have enough information to pass on recommendation. It seems like.
Well, again, that is probably why everyone who's sitting in the room had the opportunity to be looking at the application and plans all week long.
Okay.
Because this was on tonight's agenda. And I mean, it'll be up to the pleasure of the board, but if we have a discussion and then don't come to a conclusion, then we have to have a discussion again. So I don't know that we have more information.
I mean, if we voted down, then we voted down.
That is also correct, Teresa.
Oh, go ahead, Laura.
Right.
Sorry.
I just want clarification on the parking.
Yep.
Yeah, Chris says the half spaces, exactly how many full spots will be available? And will those be, first come, first served, how will they be, provided, yeah, to the residents? And then also I have a question about the retail space.
Yep.
What type of vendors, are you hoping to? Yeah.
So, yeah, so I guess start with that one and then work backwards. So, so we've identified it on the application as a restaurant space because that would be our ideal, but also because that's considered the most intensive use from an environmental, like the way it works with it. It's like they kind of want you to analyze the most intense thing you might do with it. So from a parking perspective, et cetera, that's, so that's what we have proposed, but it's not fixed. I mean, so if there was a good retail tenant that would come along, but that is the intent, is to have it be a community serving use that would either be a restaurant or community serving retail. That's.
And if you are unable to get, a retailer, what happens to the space? For instance, this building has a retail space next door, the restaurant, because of the pandemic, they weren't able to support a restaurant. Whatever, and it was vacant for a couple of years. So what happens to the space?
Well, I mean, I mean, certainly the goal is to find a good tenant in the building, and so, you know, like, but I'm aware. I think
So they're
yeah.
rents it, nobody rents it. And
Yeah,
so
I mean, it's not gonna become like, it can't use it to rent it to a resident or something like
what
that.
about CBD for some, you know, marijuana?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I mean, that's certainly not the intent to do anything like that. The owner hasn't indicated any desire. I mean, honestly, I think like when you are building like a nicer building like that, you are considering like how that tenant is, like a lot of times you want to get a good synergy where you get a good retail tenant to then attract, because that's ultimately going to be.
So like cafe or coffee shop.
I mean, that's like the ideal, yeah.
About the parking space, it's just a five.
Yeah.
How many?
So.
5 parking spaces.
Yeah, and I.
You had.
Yeah, I have
a moment ago there.
So some of these spaces, so let me, I know that.
You're gonna have to
I just wanna look at it real quick.
Yeah, but speak really loudly, please.
Okay. So. Yeah, I have it. Sorry, yeah, okay. All right, so for the parking altogether, so there are, 11 of the stalls are tandem stalls. So it's 32, so there's, 2 disabled access stalls, 32 standard stalls. So that's 34, yeah, and then 11 compact tandem stalls. So you can see, like on the left-hand side, you can see, and then you can also see corner, like we're sort of in the middle at the top, you can see those tandem spaces. So the tandem spaces, that would have to be a situation where one tenant has 2 spaces. You know, you can't have that be split between either. So because of that, with then the 2 ADA spaces, so that would mean like basically 34 separate tenants could get spaces, and then 11 of those would have 2 because of the tandem. And like I said, we have 2-bedroom units and we also have some 3-bedrooms. So, but they would have to be, the state actually requires you to unbundle. Now, that was actually like a state law that they passed. I don't fully know all the intentions, but that is the law that they have to be unbundled. So it's like a separate charge, basically. So that would have to be like a even thing. So that would be available to all the affordable tenants and the market rate tenants. And it would have to be sort of first come, first served based on that fixed rate.
We have people waving their hands in the room, but we have 3 people on Zoom who had their
I
hands
just
up.
want to clarify for that.
Sure.
Jefferson to the north, to the top of the page.
That's right.
And the alleys to the bottom of the page.
That's right.
Where's the access, ingress and egress points for the apartment?
It's all,
In the alley.
yeah, so
Okay.
the lower left, entrance there, yeah.
Okay, the lower left is egress and the other is ingress, or they both?
No, they're both, you see, it's like 20 feet wide, it's like a 2-way, okay, one on the left, yeah.
So again, Dolores and 2 others, I don't know who the 2 others are, and sale.
Okay, Delora?
Thank you. I want to know if the residents that live behind that,
I'm Jay.
what?
Keep going, you're good, keep going.
Keep going.
Oh, okay. The residents that live behind that proposed project, have they been notified? And if so, what are their concerns? And the second question is, with a structure that large, would their environment change with regards to that building would shade them? They wouldn't no longer get sun?
Well, so I guess the first answer to your first question, I have not done direct individual outreach to anyone in the surrounding area. This project will have not one but two public hearings. It'll have an initial public hearing and then the full city planning commission. They will get notified prior to that and get an official notice from the city. But I haven't coordinated with them directly. In terms of the this wasn't clicking.
We did have two planning and zoning meetings on this item, Dolores.
Yeah, there were quite a few people who turned out at least the first meeting.
Were there any residents from that area?
Yeah, at the first
I know they
meeting.
were from that street. I don't know if they were the, immediate.
Did they express any concerns? And if
Dolores,
so, what were they?
Dolores, at the first meeting, which was very well attended, I mean, there were a lot of people. There were a lot of things that were addressed that they took away with them and came back to address them further. They were not all fully addressed, like the parking for commercial has not been addressed, for example. But there were, I didn't hear a lot of yelling and screaming, if that is what you're asking, at the first meeting. The second meeting was what, 6 or 7 people, and then somebody left, so we ended up with 6 and went 3-3. Which is why we're here with that organization. The first meeting had like 15, 16, had a lot of people at it.
So this.
And most were not for it also. We're not for.
I'm sorry, I don't know who's speaking, but we did not take a vote at the first meeting.
Right, we didn't, but by the voices in their comments.
Oh, that's Rosie.
Is that Rosie?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, well, because you're not called Rosie, we just are seeing JM Sales, sorry.
So answer to my second question, please. The shade.
Yeah. So I brought this image up. So what I was talking about, so you can see that, so this is the 8th, this is like looking at it as a flat 2D image of the 8th Avenue side. And so what I was saying is the parking goes all the way to the property line. So then just after one story though, then it's set back 15 feet before it goes up. So you would have, you'd have a 20-foot alley, or actually, let me, just to be clear. So our side of the alley would be 10 feet. I think technically then, I think it's slightly substandard, so maybe 16 feet. So just to be accurate, I think it's a 16-foot wide alley. And then it hits our building, and then it would go back 15 feet before we get to the second floor, and then it would go up. So altogether, then there'd be like 31 feet of space between the primary mass and then the property line of the building to the south. So because it's in what they call a transit priority area, they actually don't require you to do like a shade study. They've just kind of determined these are dense areas, and that's not like a CEQA impact. But that just gives you an idea that probably like where the end of the black line is at the bottom, that's about where the residential property line would be. So we try to kind of create a transition to that by stepping it back a bit.
But the sun is.
But what about the residents' privacy with the building that high?
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
There is none.
She asked one more question about privacy with the building that high. This is Laura speaking, and I think we have to remind everybody that the state allows 6-story buildings on commercial corridors. And it's really very difficult to have conversations about privacy of the next door neighbors, which is really an issue. I'm not saying it's not an issue, but it's certainly not an issue a neighborhood council could take to a public hearing, because it is allowed by right by the state. So I think we should be addressing the things we can address. That's my opinion. Others may have a different opinion. Which is Rosie.
Are you done? Was that it, Rosie?
No, that was Dolores.
Oh, okay.
Rosie.
Yeah, yes, I'm done.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so Rosie?
Uh-oh.
Hello?
JM Sales has a question.
Okay. So, I thought that was Rosie.
Can Jay? No.
Go ahead.
Can
What is
Jay
your question?
Sales ask her question?
Yeah.
My question is, hello, my name is Jay Sales. I'm a native Californian, 25 years here in the West Adams neighborhood. Grew up in the Crenshaw district. My question is, the gentleman mentioned bundling. I'm not sure I know what that means. And then also, and you may have answered this question as well, low income and market rate tenants. Would there be some, oh, my mind just went blank.
He did address that.
Like case management, would this be a supportive building?
No.
No, it's
Tenants-
not, yeah, it's not a supportive building. What would be required, so when the building is built, like about 6 months before the C of O, 4 months before the C of O, you're supposed to contact the housing department, let them know you're gonna have these affordable units coming online. They put them up on their website to make people aware of it, and then you also discuss what they call the affirmative marketing plan to make sure that it's like a, you know, fair opportunity for folks to get the units. And then people would have to submit to confirm their income, and then if they qualify for their income, then they would be able to pay the lower rental rates we talked about for the 9 units in the building.
And she also.
And for let me finish, Laura. For the units from the studios to the 3 bedrooms,
Yeah.
what is the estimated square footage?
So
12 to 61.
yeah, let's see. I have that in, so yeah, I mean, just as I had, like, it's on the floor plan, and so just as an example, like, I'm seeing some of the 2 bedrooms are 865 square feet is what I'm seeing. 1 bedroom, 718 square feet, studio 474. And the 3 bedroom, I think that's fine.
Yeah, that's good enough. Thank you.
Okay.
All right, we still have questions on the, online.
Okay, it was Show King, then Ed, then Rosie. And
Okay, Show. Do
Hello.
you?
Hi, I did have a question regarding the project. We were talking about how many units are available for affordable low income, and there's 9 units out of the entire 70. Is it 72?
7.
So it's 9 units. Is it? 70. Is it possible to get more units for the low income individuals?
I mean, I guess I would say that. So that's the amount that. I mean, it's sort of a standard formula amount, so.
Well, it was 15%.
It's 16% of the base density out of the total, because that's how they do the math for it, so, I mean. So 13%.
All right.
It's gonna be good.
So the fact of the matter is, it is within the approval and it has been approved. So let's go on. What's the next question?
My question is, okay.
Okay, so my next.
This is me.
She's not finished.
Oh.
Did you have
What's
another?
Definitely not done.
Okay, go ahead, Ed.
Okay, this is Ed Saunders speaking.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought she said I'm done.
No,
Okay,
I'm definitely not done. I have a few of those. And then you guys were mentioning about parking. Is it possible to get underground parking to increase and maximize on the space in the density portion that you're speaking of?
So I guess what I would say is that it's all a cost question. And so, you know, yes, I would say, of course, the things that would be ideal, underground parking, more affordable units, like those are all things that would be better to have. But it's always a balance of what is actually feasible to achieve. And so it's not like a fun, exciting answer, but it's like, I think that's the reality, is that to dig a big hole and put the parking underground, it typically costs about twice as much to put the parking in. So that's just the reason they made that decision.
okay, so basically he has presented what has already been approved. And
Oh,
your question have been, well, you know, can we have this or why can't we have that? It's already said what we're gonna have. He's already.
Well, already said what the developer is proposing.
Yeah, what's been.
It's not been approved.
Well,
It's been approved.
it's not approved. Well, it's approved by the funder,
Right,
not by the planning
It's a
department.
proposal, it's not approved. So
Okay.
it's not gonna.
Okay. Is there anything else, Joe?
Yes, you mentioned about a courtyard. So is that a go, or is there gonna be like something like a rec room, gym? And I know you're discussing about retail space. So will there be something for the community to come in and perhaps have like a, you know, a repast, baby shower, that type of space, in order to also generate income for the as part of that retail side of things, but also involving and benefiting and including the community that lives there and have been there years on years?
Well, so, yeah, I guess on some of those points, I think the first question was just about the courtyard. I mean, that's just a resident amenity essentially. So that's what you can see there. It's like basically the building is built around a central courtyard, and that would be landscaped and people could use that space. In terms of the retail space, I mean, I know what you're talking about because we're in one of these spaces, you know, right now and so, I mean, typically on some of these bigger developments, and especially ones where there's maybe city funding that's going to it or different things, a lot of times if you need a full-fledged zone change, you know, that's when you often see them going above and beyond and providing like a community room space. In this case, we're talking about 2,000 square feet total, which is intended to be a retail space, which would be rented. You know, I think that, like I said, the ideal would be, you know, as someone noted, like, yes, the dream would be like someone from the community who wants to have a coffee shop or a cafe. That's kind of like the ideal. But you know, we're not sure who would step up to be interested in taking that space at this time, so.
Okay,
I understand. I guess
a whole lot more time on this.
I just got one.
It's already almost 8:30 and we had many questions about this. Okay, go ahead, Ed.
My only question, you gave me somewhat numbers.
I can't hear you. I can't hear you.
Okay, excuse me. This is Ed Saunders speaking. You gave numbers on the cost for the affordable housing. What is the projected market rate cost of the other units that you are planning, that you're gonna develop?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I know I mean, the median rent just in general in LA these days is like 2,700 a month. So like the median, you know, it's high. So I don't want to, I mean, the actual honest answer is, I don't know, and I'm sure the developer has a projection, you know, they have numbers in their spreadsheet about what they think, and the way that they're gonna do that is they're just looking to see what other things around there are renting at, and then they're gonna base that, and they're gonna look at how much has it increased year on year, and to be honest, I personally don't know what that answer is, but it's, you know, you would assume a typical one bedroom is, but probably a little bit more because it's a brand new building, and then it's got some amenity. That's what the, you know, the truth is still there. Yeah. So I personally don't know exactly what the market rate is in that area.
We have Chris with her hand up here in the room.
Yeah, I'm concerned about the so-called courtyard, which on proportion looks more like just an air well. What would you see as an air You've got possibly 155 residents, given your bedroom count. And it's a very small space that's now isolated by 5 stories. So you're down in a sort of a rectangular silo. I don't know that you could grow anything green down there, so maybe those are artificial carpeted kind of things, but it hardly seems adequate as an amenity of any nature to the residents. It's very concerning.
You're also asking for some reduction in green space.
And you're asking for a reduction in green space. And that's concerning to me because our area is very challenged for green space and opportunity for people to be outdoors. And even though you talk about it being a high density area, if you look at the original photograph you presented of those streetscapes, they are all extremely low density, potentially 1 story. And I understand the state allows bonus densities, but to do it at the expense of the basic amenities in terms of light and access to green space and the out of doors is quite concerning. I think the actual design of the building, I see that you put a great deal of effort and there's a lot of attention to some of the aesthetic details and the amount of windows, but that is the smallest salami slice of a courtyard I've ever seen in a building of that scale, and that's my comment.
Mike,
Take Rosie first.
okay, Rosie?
Yes, real quick. Since the homeowners on 8th Avenue, where the north or south of Jefferson have been notified officially, if they wanted to comment on this project, would they just send an email to UNC president?
No, go ahead, Laura.
Well, no, if the neighbors wanted to comment on this project, they either come to a public meeting. Or they send an email to the hearing officer when it gets to the planning department. We cannot be dealing with as if we're hearing officers. We can't be getting private emails from people.
It's
They
a
can,
person named Isaiah Ross, city planning, so
Right.
that's who email.
Right. I mean, and we can certainly and will certainly provide that information, but it's not appropriate for the neighbor accounts to be getting individual private emails.
Okay, so could someone drop in the chat where they should send it to? Second question is, if it gets approved and they start building this structure, I noticed in the neighborhood that it's not well kept. If you look at Jefferson and Crenshaw, that little corner, it's all graffitied everywhere. And like the responsibility of the owners has fallen on deaf ears or whatever. How can we ensure that you would make sure that you will be removing graffiti, overgrown shrubbery while this is taking place?
Yeah.
And
Mhm. This is Michael Kimber. I'm on the board. The corner of Jefferson and Crenshaw that you're speaking about, that little shopping center that's been sitting empty for 2 years. I know the owner, he's been going through some changes with the city. And during the down period, graffiti was, it just got out of control. He's just recently gotten the approvals he needs to proceed with the cleanup. So I don't think that necessarily applies to the situation we're talking about right now.
well, what I'm asking right now is, we don't want the situation on 8th Avenue and Jefferson to look like the situation on Jefferson and Crenshaw.
We completely agree with you, but I think there are 2 different situations to consider.
But it's all in construction. So let me finish with my question. And so that is my question too, is we want to make sure that when the construction starts, it is done with the graffiti being removed and overgrown shrubbery and all of that. Because in this neighborhood, they seem to forget that these are the people who own it, needs to take care of it. And the third thing is, I see there's a lot of windows and things like that. Is there some type of coating put on these windows to be graffiti resistant or easily removed?
Yeah, interesting. Typically during the plan check process.
Can I have him answer the question? I want him to answer it.
Michael is trying to answer it because he is in the business.
I know, but I'm asking the guy who's coming here, giving us this information about how he's going to do the project. So I want to hear
He's a
him first.
I'm sorry, this is Laura speaking again. He's a
Yeah.
land use representative. He is not the owner of the property.
Right, but he's representing them.
Yeah,
And
I
he's
mean,
giving us information.
I'll probably say the same thing, maybe, which is that for these days, when you go through the plan check process, they require one of two things. They either require the material itself be something that is easy to clean, easy to remove graffiti from, or for you to sign an affidavit confirming that you will do that. I will say, I've been in the area not too long ago, like the property as it is, I think looks pretty good. Like it is an auto yard, so it's not the most beautiful property, and but they do a pretty good job maintaining it as is, I think. But certainly, like, during construction, like I'm going to stay in touch. Like I'm going to be in this business for a while. If people are having issues with it, you can contact me, and I will be able to get in touch with them. As well, if you're seeing issues at this location. I don't know if you want to add anything else.
Well, I wanted to address a couple of questions that came up regarding a couple of aspects of the project. Chris, you were talking about the open space. It looks like they're trying to mitigate as much as they can by running the sliver east to west, which will follow the track of the sun, as opposed to a north and south, which would only give you a daylight and a very short sliver of time. Now, I understand how deep the hole is, and I think that needs to be looked at. But as we see here under the description, these are asks.
Right.
They are not necessarily granted.
I
And
understand
I
that.
think the opportunity to discuss this in the open forum, and have them come back if we have objections, is still an open question.
You bet.
And to talk about the rentals, very hard to project what the rentals are gonna be in 3 years.
Yeah.
Because that's more or less what we're looking at.
No, but they have numbers.
They do,
That
and I
can even move forward on. I mean, they got something.
They have to, go ahead. And lastly, I think it was Dolores who was asking about the setback or the transitional height. That is also an ask, and that can be talked about in terms of what the.
Right, that is 31 feet.
That's 31 feet setback for a vertical front. They could be asked also to transition away from the house as we go, because we are looking at
Yes.
an ordinance. So there are a lot of issues that you'll need to do.
And one thing I would ask, given the law, the ask to lose so much green space is maybe on that setback, or if there would even be additional setbacks, particularly facing housing, that there being exterior greening and plantings on those so-called terraces.
Absolutely.
To give
So
not only the residents, but the community more green
Yeah,
space.
there is already on the plan.
On the first,
But on the first setback.
right,
Right.
but if it turns out that additional setbacks to come into
Well-
play, I would ask that it be considered on every one of those.
Right, so you do.
Is there a question on the floor? We've talked about this long enough.
Okay. Laura is speaking again. So for each of these things we're discussing now would reduce the square footage of the individual units. It wouldn't necessarily reduce the number of units, but we, on other projects, have complained that the unit sizes and square footage allowed for people to live in was too small. And they're being fairly generous on this. So I just want to point out, I also want to point out that all of these questions really should have been addressed at the planning and zoning committee. And there's a reason why, especially for those who are at-large representatives on our board, that you're supposed to be participating in our committee work. Why we have the committees and, why we're now having a really long conversation. It's not simply because the committee didn't have a recommendation. It's because our board didn't participate in those meetings. So it sounds like we want to do this again in February.
Well, is there a motion? I'd like to see.
Yeah, is there a motion?
People who participated cannot make a motion. So is there a motion to support this project? Or what something, I can't say.
Yes, what is it that you're looking for?
Like, he's looking for us to support the project.
To approve it.
Right. And Laura asking for guidance for going to a public hearing. So if we never vote, we have nothing to say at the public hearing, just to be clear. And
Or if we
then
don't
we're not
have
representing our community.
Well, no, I understand. If we don't vote on something,
We have nothing to say, we're not supporting our community in any way because we've not voted. But it doesn't seem like the hearing is gonna be before February sixth, is that correct? At this point? Yeah, I mean, in other words, they'd have to publish the hearing notice tomorrow in order for it to be a February sixth hearing.
Question, will they have to publish the findings of the site review?
No. No, this isn't really, first of all, they don't even do site review anymore. Well, I do, but I mean, they've changed. It's a PR, what is that? PR.
So yeah, so just the way that it's gonna proceed is they'll have what's called a hearing officer hearing. And that's, a notice gets mailed out to everybody and it also gets posted on the site, and that's where anybody can call in. And that's what, yeah, just the planner, Isaiah Ross will be there, so you can take any comment. Then he takes those comments and he puts those into a staff report. Staff report will include all the environmental studies we did, like, you know, all their discussion about like what design changes they wanted, how we responded, any communication from the community. They're pretty bulky documents, the staff report.
Right.
So, but that won't get released typically until about like 10 days before the actual city planning commission.
Yeah,
hearing.
exactly 10 days before
Yeah.
is when it's released. And then that doesn't provide much of an opportunity to comment because it happens to be released the same day as the deadline for other people to write their comments in excess of 10 pages. So it's hard to respond.
Hold on,
So-
Teresa, no, I'm just waiting to see if we're gonna have a
Right.
motion.
So, and if we're not, I mean, again, we have I guess we have 2 meetings before the February 6th meeting of the Planning and Zoning Committee. But I really, just express my personal thing is I really don't want to have to come back to this governing board in a month and try and repeat the same long set of discussions. I mean, if we go back to planning and zoning and.
Why would we go back? If the board makes a motion now to
No,
support or not support, why would it have to go back to planning and zoning?
Because I believe I'm getting feedback that they don't want to make a decision tonight.
Okay,
Okay, and so what is it? No.
Yeah.
Are we ready to vote on this issue? Okay.
I won't make it.
Okay.
First.
Right, so what I want to say is.
Wait, and you were gonna say
I
something?
was moving that we table it until, and then have a planning and zoning meeting, and that many people participate.
Yeah, I.
If you're saying that it's not gonna come up before February 6th, I'm saying, why would we, if nobody's feeling comfortable voting on it, why would
Then
we?
why don't you make a motion to say, and move that we do not support this project? I mean, I
Well,
don't know
no,
that-
Because that's not what I'm saying, because I don't have enough information.
If I were to make a motion to approve, would anyone second?
I would second it just to be done, but I have a feeling we're not gonna win.
I agree.
I will second it.
We can move on.
I mean, I don't think it's a perfect project. I think it'd be great if there were at least an even 10 very low income housing units.
Motion never table this discussion for further.
Okay, yeah, the hearing could not happen before the February 6th meeting.
All right, all those in favor?
Well, I don't think we have to vote on a table.
Oh.
No.
Oh, second, we vote on it.
All right, all those in favor that this, motion, or this, what is
It's
that?
item to February 6th.
Yeah.
Is the correct motion.
Okay. So, it's been moved and seconded that this, item be tabled until February 6th meeting. All those in favor, show of hands. All right, motion passed.
Okay, and Laura wants to say, please come to, which I don't even know yet, if it's the meeting in a week and a half or if it's the February 5. But really, if you're gonna vote no on February 6th and you've already made up your mind, that would also be inappropriate at this time because we're gonna have another discussion. And I really wanna thank our guest.
Yes,
Because he was also patiently here in December, not realizing we weren't going to discuss this matter in December for this very reason, because we wanted to have a holiday dinner.
Yeah. All right, can I just grab that,
And he said, do I have to do it?
Can we take the screen down?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you very much.
no problem.
All right, our next planning and zoning item.
It's Teresa. Oh, what do you want me to pull up? Emotional?
We have it around, no, we don't have to.
Okay.
So, council file 2404,
No, 2020.
actually it's 24
Yes, sorry.
9016.
Oh,
That's my error on the agenda, but it is 2024. That's what the 24 stands for,
okay,
but it's 24.
okay, continue.
It's a council, file that was submitted by, Councilwoman Unesis Hernandez to recommend that city commissions, the participants and the people selected, to be part of the city commissions, that they get necessary training to be able to do their job effectively, including some of the training that we have to take. We have included in that are the HPOZ meetings that we have. So we have 4 HPOZs within UNC. So I would like to recommend that we support this training for the HPOZ commissioners and have put together this CIS. I can read it.
Yes, please do.
United Neighborhoods Neighborhood Council, UNC, submits this letter of support for City Council Motion 24-1016. The UNC, located within Council District 10, is home to 4 historic preservation overlay zones, HPOZs: Harvard Heights, Jefferson Park, West Adams Terrace, and Washington and Western Heights. I think we have 7 HPOZs within Council District 10.
We'll have to look it up.
Yeah, okay. With 7 or more HPOZs, Council District 10 is the home to the greatest number of HPOZs in the city.
Is that true?
Yes,
Yeah,
it is.
yes, it is.
People. Enhanced training provided by the city planning department will greatly increase the proficiency of the combined 20 UNC HPOZ board members, allowing them to perform their duties more effectively. Also, guidance similar to what is offered to neighborhood councils, including code of conduct, equity and inclusion, and anti-bias training would enhance their ability to positively interact with the community. UNC also supports the report back from LADOT on the recommended training for their various commissions.
One question, the enhanced training provided by city planning department, would that be the standard planning 101, or is it specific to historic preservation issues? And does that training exist and does it need to be created?
It's neither one,
Okay.
because this is not just for HPOZ. This is for planning commissioners, area planning commissioners, HPOZ board members of design review board, board members of community design overlay boards. I mean,
In that note.
so it's about what I'm understanding from what I read in a longer report, not the motion. It's more about the rules governing, like the Roberts rules and the rules
Right.
governing governance.
Right, but we have these boards that are serving dedicated purposes.
Right, they
not
already have the
completely-
training for the HPOZ portion.
Do they?
Yes. They
Yes.
have training. They actually have training when we become a.
Okay.
They already have like secretary of HPOZ boards already have training. It's just not this kind of training.
Okay,
This is more governance.
okay, good.
So I'd like to make a motion that the UNC board support this community impact statement. Is there a second?
A second.
Thank you. And can we get a BAC?
We need a BAC. Is Michael still here?
Yeah.
I am, I'm doing so right now. And that was Laura on the second?
7B.
Yes, Laura seconded.
Okay.
Well, is Laura allowed to second? Laura can't second.
Oh, second. Oh, I'm sorry, you seconded.
Seconded.
I thought that was Chris.
Get a lot of-
Kristen made the second on the
Yeah.
motion.
Okay, so we're calling for the vote now?
Yes, we are.
All right.
If Michael's ready.
I am ready. Actually, as soon as I type the word training. All right. Joshua,
Yes.
Dolores,
Yes.
Hunter,
Yes.
Candace,
Yes.
Laura,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Show,
See.
Edward,
Stay.
Abstain. All right. Paula,
Yes.
Grace,
Yes.
I am a yes. Karine,
Yes.
Teresa,
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
Diana,
Yes.
Marco.
Yes.
Excellent. Motion passes.
Okay, is that it?
Yes.
For the motion, yes, the motion passes.
Okay, the motion passed. Okay.
On the follow-up to previous cases, I'm sorry, I've been nothing, including even thinking about that for the holidays. Teresa, do we think we have any follow-up to previous cases? I think we're good, right? Moving on.
Okay, executive committee, report starting off with myself. And, I have nothing to report at this time, so we'll move on to the treasurer's report.
Okay, we are just gonna go over the MERT, which is very short and sweet.
Louder, please.
Hi, this is Candace, the treasurer. And we're just gonna go over the December MERT for this month, the past month. Pretty slow month because we are all out on vacation. So total spent for the month was $530.24. That was for the public storage unit and also for our wonderful Christmas dinner for El Cholo. And that is what is on our MER for December. I make a motion to approve the MER, a December MER.
A second,
All right. Who was
Okay.
the motion the second?
Paula?
Teresa moved, Paula seconded.
Motion.
Okay, and all those that approve the report? Now, any discussion? Oh,
We have to do a BAC.
Okay.
All right. Joshua,
Yes.
Dolores,
Dolores?
Sorry, yes.
okay. Hunter,
Yes.
Candace,
Yes.
Laura,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Show,
Yes.
Edward,
Yes.
Paula,
Yes.
Grace,
Yes.
I am a yes. Karine,
Yes.
Teresa,
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
Diana,
Yes.
Marco.
Yes.
Excellent. Motion passes.
All right, thank you very much. We are moving on. Oh, is that it for you, Candace?
Yes, because we tabled the inventory to the next.
Okay, Vice President's report, Laura?
Yes, our attendance actually has gotten better with the exception of Miss Betty, who I think is ill. What we should check in to see if she's requested a leave of absence because she's now been absent.
Yeah.
Too much, and we're up to date on training.
All right, Secretary's report, Marco?
We tabled.
Okay, committee report. Oh, election.
Do you want to do that? Do you want to do 9B first, because it's quick?
Yeah, okay, go ahead.
So
9B is the LAX Roundtable Committee?
yeah, so essentially, we've received a notification that UNNC has to write a letter, and we can easily do it, to request that our membership on the LAX Roundtable be renewed. So the LAX Roundtable is the entity that meets to talk about, all things airport, but these days it talks about all things airplanes over our heads. So that's that's why we have a seat, is because of the noise of the airplane. So we have a rep and an alternate. Kurt Bouton is our official rep and Jeff Camp is the alternate, but we have to write a letter asking to be renewed. So
how do we know that?
How do we?
Kurt wants to do it?
Because he's the one that contacted us, asking us to renew.
Okay, and Jeff, we received the letter, so I just assumed.
Oh,
President, but he sent the letter to you.
Kurt, well, both Jeff and Kurt separately, not talking to each other, sent Paula and me. Each of them sent forwarded the letter from the LAX Roundtable representative asking that we do the letter. So it's not a really controversial thing. I just thought we should report it. I don't think we even need a motion, or do we?
No, I do have an additional comment. Thank you. Like I said before, with everybody who wants to be chair, I think that it's important that they come in and explain to the board that they want to take down their responsibility. They will attend the meetings and they will come back and they will report to us the status of that committee. So that's why I asked you about.
Right.
And
yeah, this is not renewing them.
No,
This is renewing us.
yes, but they want to do it on behalf, they want to do it.
They want to make,
the community.
they want to make sure we renew because they are doing it. They're going to the meetings and Kurt does come every once in a while to report. Not very often.
So what is your concern? That I have not heard, I mean, I've been here, I don't know, 4 years.
No, Kurt came within the last year.
No. I have not missed a meeting. Does anybody else remember that?
I don't even know Kurt is.
Yeah, so. So the point I'm trying to make is that when people want to represent the community on behalf of UNNC, that it would be nice if they would come to the committee and talk about what they're doing. In this case, what is the status of the airplanes? Where is it in the lawsuit? Yeah.
Can I add that we put into our whatever criteria for committee chairs, that we ask for semi-annual reports. Because we don't ask people, make it clear that we want that. It's not, if they're, so I think we have to clear that if you're gonna chair, we ask that you have semi-annual.
We do have that, yes.
Okay, I think all of these things are clear, but that's not exactly what's on the agenda. Right. The agenda is the renewal. I mean, do we want to ask that we're renewed?
Yes.
I would like to make a motion that we write the letter to request renewal of our seat at the LAX roundtable.
Okay, just Michael, we should do a BAC on this.
I don't think it's second.
Yes, it was, David.
Create
It
one
was,
now.
it was moved by Chris Carlson, seconded by David Osai. Okay. And wait a minute. And Michael is, let's remind, how do we pronounce that last name?
Well, it's not Kim Brew.
Yes, Kim Brook. Jose can you see our
No,
Brook
just
over
Jose.
there. Okay. That we write the letter to request UNNC's membership be renewed. And then in the meantime, taking Teresa's concern into, acknowledgement, we can ask Kurt and Jeff to give us a report. Okay, but we should vote.
All right, Joshua.
Abstain.
Abstain. You guys make it difficult. I copied this from last one. Dolores.
Yes.
Hunter.
Yes.
Candace.
Yes.
Laura.
Yes.
David.
Yes.
Show.
Yes, still on? Oh, there she is.
I think I heard a yes.
Yes. you
Edward.
did.
Yes.
Okay. Paula.
Yes.
Grace.
Yes.
I'm a yes. Corrine.
Yes.
Teresa.
Yes.
Michael.
Yeah.
Chris.
Yes.
Diana.
Yes.
Marco.
Yes.
All right, the motion passes.
Thank you. All right, we are,
At elections.
okay, moving back to the elections committee. Our elections committee chair resigned. And so I sent out an email, I think it was yesterday, to you saying, is there anyone who wanted to volunteer? So now I'm asking you here openly in the meeting, is there anyone that would like to volunteer for the elections committee?
I'll volunteer.
Thank you.
Well,
Thank you.
He's up for election.
are we allowed?
He's up for election.
You're up for election.
I'm all year.
Dolores, who has done a phenomenal job in the past.
Oh.
I'm not sure if she'll do it or not, but I would like to nominate you, Dolores.
Dolores, do you accept?
This could be your swan song.
No. I will help with the committee. I do not want to be chair.
So let's have a quick conversation. We have people who are participating in the committee. David, Hunter, Laura, Teresa, Candace, and Dolores. Now Dolores. What we don't have is the technical person who is the chair. So if we don't do this, Paula becomes technically the chair, because the city clerk needs to have a name of a person who's eligible to be the chair. So here's where we're at. 5 people have signed up to run for 14 spots. So, but some of us, myself included, haven't put our thing in. Well, I'm trying to find out if they're going to be flexible. So in my case, if I put it in one spot, but we end up having too many people, but we still have vacancies in the other one I'm eligible for, can I switch on, say, the January 18th? So that we have 14 seats plus 2 other vacancies that are not up for election. So if we don't get enough candidates, it's not just that we can't have an election. I think we're not gonna die not having an election, but what we have to do is fill those seats before the end of June, because we won't be able to function on July 1.
We could just appoint people. Why do we have so many damn chairs in the first place?
That's.
What do you mean chairs?
Seats?
Here's
Oh. Well, if you go back to the history is, I know the history.
Okay, you're not gonna fill it up.
Something is happening to the audio.
Because we're all talking at the same time. Back when the board structure was created, they wanted 2 reps from each region, and they wanted that number to be 1 more than any other number, than the 11. So there's 12 area reps, then 11 at-large positions. We can't easily change the structure. That's a whole other issue. Yeah, but yes, I said the word easily.
Okay.
Chris.
I move that we go to the default where our president, becomes the
Chair.
The chair.
De facto president, chair.
So we have.
What did you say, Dolores?
Become the de facto chair.
The de facto.
Right.
De facto, I don't like that. Okay, but this chair.
Doesn't have to be de facto.
My motion is that we let the chair position goes to the president, since we already have an active and energized committee.
Yes.
And Paula is very good at showing up and ticking the boxes and making sure all those who want to do can and do because the boxes have been ticked. So I move that we allow Paula to inherit that position. If she
Okay, we moved and seconded, all those in favor?
We need a BAC.
We need a BAC just because it is a.
Yeah, we have to give it back to the clerk.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need a BAC on this one.
Yep,
And
I'm
thank
putting
you.
it together. This is agenda item 9A.
I'm sorry, you just keep moving around.
Oh, wait, I'm here a second. Dolores, you have your hand up?
No, I thought we were raising our hand.
Okay, you're being called on.
Yeah, she's about to. She raised her hand to vote.
Oh, she's voting. Okay, go ahead, Michael.
So this is the motion, sorry, this is agenda item 9A. The motion was by Chris. Who was the second?
Seconded.
David will say.
David. All right, awesome. And this will be to assign Paula.
To appoint Paula to be
The
the
election
elections
chair
chair
committee, I mean, election committee chair.
or elections chair. Yeah, no, elections
Committee
chair.
chair.
The title is, no, elections chair. No, the word committee doesn't go into the motion. We happen to have it.
Excellent. Excellent. Done. So Joshua.
Yes.
Dolores.
Yes.
Hunter.
Yes.
Candace.
Yes.
Laura.
Yes.
David.
Yes.
Show.
Abstain.
Abstain. Okay. Edward.
Yes.
Paula.
Yes,
Okay. Grace.
Grace had to leave.
Oh. All right. Oh, I'm a yes. Green.
Yes.
Teresa.
Yes.
Michael.
Yes.
Chris.
Yes.
Diana.
She's there.
Diana.
Yes.
Okay. Excellent. Thank you. Marco.
Yes.
All right. The motion passes.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
And then, I'm gonna bring up one other thing related to our marketing or lack thereof so far on the elections. With permission and let me coordinate with Hunter, I think, given that we have this horrible emergency in LA, I think the email pitch that we send should sort of say, you know, in light of the emergency, did you know that neighborhood councils are one way you can help? Would you consider participating by running for UNNC? We are considering ways that we'll be able to help it kind of somehow do something that pulls it.
A good idea.
Yeah,
Mhm.
because it's also a truth,
Yeah.
a statement to truth. Assuming we get our act together and make any donations, but but it is truly the function, part of the function of neighborhood councils to respond to.
The emergency.
I
Yeah.
agree.
Okay, and Chris?
I've got about 45 community members coming to my house Saturday morning. Do we have anything, that can be forwarded or printed or handed out?
We never.
I have a design, but we don't have to pursue whatever they come in. Friday. Saturday.
I can print flyer from my own computer. If we have something that's printed.
We have to commit printable, yeah.
That'd be great, because I can corral you and get them and I'll put them in people's hands. Okay.
Wonderful, any more discussion, any other items?
Is that okay with you?
No? Meeting is adjourned, I don't do.
Well,
Okay, well,
we're gonna talk about.
that's why.
Do we want to talk about having a special meeting? Can I make a suggestion, and of course, obviously, it comes down to you, but I think that if David has ideas of what people need now, I think we might as well get that into people's hands sooner rather than later. $1,000 worth, and then hopefully we can have a special meeting in a week or so to maybe give more than that. But we give $5,000 to neighborhood purpose grants all the time. I don't see why there's a reason we can't give more.
Yeah, I'm just saying, I mean.
What I understood, Alfonso to say is that. Paul thinks that this is a simple.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll take care of that.
And they just go by and we just submit.
But what I think we're talking about with the rest of our budget.
Yeah, but yes, and we also send more to them.
And do we want to wait till February 6th, or do we want to have a special standalone Zoom meeting to talk about other things? Because again, we have some very hyper local nonprofits who are collecting money and things already. I mean, can we support some of our nonprofits? Not buying the things, but buying, donating to the nonprofits, but we can't really discuss that without it being an agenda item. So do we want to have a special meeting?
So, I have the
Budget.
But, well, yes, I have the budget, but I also have the directive that details what the emergency expenditures are. And so there's a list of things on here that we can buy with that $1,000.
Vote about the $1,000. We don't vote on the $1,000. That's, you know, we will. Well, we'll vote after the fact to approve what's been done. That's not what we're asking here. What we're asking is, should we have a special meeting or an agenda item on February 6th or an agenda item on executive? Those are our three choices to discuss additional funding items that are more than $1,000 and don't follow this directive. So in other words,
I believe under our funding rules, individual nonprofits would actually have to come to us and ask.
No, we can ask them if they need our help.
I believe that under our funding rules, that we have organizations come and present and ask for funds for dedicated purposes. We don't just anoint groups that we're gonna
We
get
actually
money
do all the time.
I'd also like to say that Chris made a good point that maybe we need to wait a little bit to find out what.
There is so much need coming down the pike, and even in the LA Times in the last 2 days, things like the Red Cross are saying.
If you don't want to do an emergency meeting.
No.
Just to kind of piggyback off of what Chris was saying, so the evacuation centers that I've been to thus far, like blankets, pillows, and literally some of the hugest. So even if we weren't to, I believe that was on the approved list as well. So if we weren't to even do the entire $1,000 expenditure, $500 of pillows and blankets is going to be a huge impact. So I would propose that we maybe do something like that initially, because the help is going to be needed for months. Right? So perhaps we do that and then have the agenda item on February 6th, so that we can then discuss additional support.
Be on executive on the 21st, because how our actual process works is that we do funding items at executive and make recommendations to the governing board. So that's how we'll handle it. But Chris, we often identify and approach nonprofits and say, do you?
Oh, do we?
We do.
I didn't know that was in our process.
It's been in our process a lot. Especially in your grant.
Do we want to do?
Actually,
yeah.
I think we're gonna do.
Well, the $1,000,
The $1,000, we can talk about it. Yeah, the $1,000 we're gonna do it.
Yes.
I'll send you yeah.
See, but your point, if
Yeah, we can do what we can now, figure out what we spend.
one more thing, one more thing. Just one more thing, we can do it, we can collaborate personally. Tori has actually identified on Amazon, Prime, the silver blankets, the lightweight. You know, they're $1 a piece. You know, we can buy.
Who would use those over?
I don't know. No. I don't want to do it now. I don't want that to be Paula. I'm just saying, you personally can go on Amazon and get 4 packets, which would be 40 blankets for your own $40. That's all I'm saying. Or we could personally again collaborate together and do something like that if it was a good thing to do when we got stuff.
I think the primary.
Excuse me, can I say something? Can I say something as a community member?
Go ahead.
And someone, as well as probably everyone here, I know several people in Palisades who had to pack up and go very quickly. So with regard to, it's a great thing that wanting to donate, but we're in an emergency situation. I suggest, along with the gentleman in the cap, that we be more practical. These people have left their homes with their nothing but what's on their back. So they need clothes, they need underwear, they need toiletry. Just go from a place of common sense. And then when you come back to a meeting, you can decide, okay, we're going to buy XYZ. But at this point, people since Monday have probably been in the same clothes, have probably been in the same underwear, have don't have soap, or maybe have a little hotel bar of soap. So I would say clothing, we're in this cold weather, maybe socks and undergarments, PJs for the kid. Well, you know, I mean, just instead of trying to be so formal and, you know, let's kind of step out of the box and add some practicality to it.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank
for
you.
your comment. This meeting is adjourned.